Every so often in life, we are faced with challenges. But it's what we do about them that makes us who we are. So when you're faced with a 9.5% hazy Imperial IPA, do you cower before it? Or do you welcome the juiciness? Join the many, join the strong, join the Force. Juice Force IPA and new Fruit Force IPA. Live Rangerously.
One legend was given the gift of immortality. So what does Voodoo Ranger do with the endless time? Take on a life of adventure, full of risk and danger? Give love a chance, knowing it would only last a moment? Share the wealth of knowledge so that history doesn't repeat itself? No. Voodoo Ranger drinks beer. Voodoo Ranger IPA. Live Rangerously.
Tired of beer that's just too bland?
Not a problem anymore! Introducing the amazing Voodoo Ranger IPA. It's bright, hoppy, and comes in a variety of options. Plus, you can take it almost anywhere. Stop drinking boring beer. Instead, join the many others living Rangerously today. But wait, there's more! Call 833-V-RANGER. That's 833-V-RANGER to get free Rangerousness. Live Rangerously today. Call now.
Hello and welcome to another TIL this fine Thursday afternoon. Today we have topic is GABF. So it's going to be a good one, I think, because it just happened. So yay! I'd like to thank Trex for the raid. Appreciate it. We'll
Thanks, Trex.
Show our best. Also, just so you guys know, we are in a working brewery. So the noises you hear, the white noise you hear in the background, that is all part of it, because it's a beer show in a brewery. Deal with it. The disembodied voice you hear is me, Patrick, also known as Bearded Tortuga. I will be answering your questions. I'll be modding today. So throw them out. We love to reach out to chat. Throw your questions there. I will throw them to the host, and we'll go about it. So, yeah, I'll throw it to Andy for intros. Who
Hi.
are you guys?
I'm Andy. I'm an engineer here at New Belgium, and that's what I do.
And you're a wizard
And a part-time wizard.
in a fantastic brewer.
Aw, shucks.
Why you gotta be so humble, Andy? Come
Who
on.
are you? Who are you?
I'm Kelly. I'm the lead R&D brewer here, so this is my office.
I'm Lindsay, and I work in the wood cellar, taking care of the fooders.
This office is in her office.
Yeah, we envelop her office.
It's like office within an office within an office. Real quick news things we have. Very small news things. And I'm going to let you guys go over the awards because that's kind of on topic. But outside of that news, just so you guys know, on October 13th, Friday the 13th, great day, we will be hosting a Magic the Gathering drafts event here at the brewery in the all-staff room. So I will be posting information on Voodoo's social as well as our Discord and on Twitch and YouTube very shortly about how to sign up for that. It is free, a free Magic the Gathering event with some prizes that have never seen the light of day before. One-offs from Magic. So we also have special guest Talia Vest coming. So it should be pretty good. And, hint, hint, special beer.
What could it
Can't
be?
talk much more about that, but I'll have info out for you guys later. Otherwise, some other beer news that's happened is we had some happenings at GABF, yeah?
We did.
Yeah.
Won some things.
2 medals.
2 medals.
That's good.
One was for this beer.
Baltic Porter. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you too, because you brewed it.
Thanks.
Tell us about this beer, Kelly.
This beer is called Rob's Baltic Porter. And actually, you talk about how it was picked to be the beer we were making.
Sounds good. So GABF has a kind of competition within the competition featuring Pro-Am beers, and a Pro-Am beer is a beer that was selected from a sanctioned homebrew competition by a professional brewer. They team up with said homebrewer. They recreate that beer on their professional system, and then they submit it into the competition. There were 50 beers entered this year in the Pro-Am, and all different styles, and it's just kind of a head-to-head beauty contest sort of thing. So separate from the main comp where you're like comparing all beers of the same style.
It's like a best of show.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep, like a best of show. Just trying to figure out what's the coolest, best beer on the table. Did you select this one, or did someone?
Soren did.
Soren selected. So our coworker Soren selected this beer from the competition, the local homebrew competition, which is the Liquid Poetry Slam. The local homebrew club is called the Liquid Poets. I actually coordinated that competition last year, and we hosted it here at New Belgium. There were 300-ish entries last year. Not only did Rob's beer win a medal, so the only criteria is it has to win a medal. It doesn't even have to win a gold. He won a gold, and he actually won Best of Show at the Liquid Poetry Slam, which we didn't know when we picked it, or Soren didn't technically. So, so that's how we picked the beer to begin with. In the past, we've done Pale Ale, Belgian Single, Belgian Blonde, kind of whatever. There's no, we're not necessarily trying to pick a specific beer. It's more on the pilot brewers to decide if there's something specific they want to brew, if they're there picking it. So,
And then with that entry, it's a free entry into GABF. So in addition to the ones that your brewery is allowed to do, or the max, you get that as a free one. So it's always nice. So that beer got picked. The original East and the one that won Best in Show was actually from Zwei Brewing. It was just an on-deck slurry from Kirk over at Zwei. So Rob Hardesty, who was the home brewer who won, he gave me the recipe. I didn't do anything for a long time, and then finally I had to scale it, and we got a pitchable quantity slurry of on-decks. So that would have been kind of like one of the only tweaks that had to be made, was just because it wasn't from the original source, but that's normal. And then, we scaled it up, and it's not a direct scale when you're going from homebrewing. So there are some values I tweaked in there, and then, and then we lagered it for 12 weeks. Ran a Trube Jane every 4 days for that whole time. Packaged it. Andy hand bottled it.
I did hand bottle it. That's true. It was already kegged, and we need to submit. We only kegged it, so we don't tend to run many things other than kegs out of the pilot. You do can run sometimes, but we weren't going to be selling this as a packaged beer. It was only going to be draft, so I hand bottled it right over there. You can't see what's over there, but there's a ledge
There's
over
a
there.
counter.
Yeah. And 12-week lager. That's super dope.
Yeah, I knew we did another entry that we didn't win anything with, but was Rife Stenzel. That got lagered for 10, 12 weeks.
So lucky to have another keg in the tap room right now.
Yeah.
That's so that beer is a German lager, kind of very traditional brew. Cody, who's on the show quite often, that's his baby.
It's a German Pils, but we entered it under Keller because it wasn't filtered at all. And it was so bright that we were like, well, should we actually just enter it under regular filtered beer?
So bright? How does that work?
It's Stokes Law.
Stokes Law.
Stuff drops out of solution.
Given time.
But it was great. Hopefully we get some good notes back for that. And then another beer we brewed for it, but didn't win a medal, but was really exciting, was Andy and I made a beer. If you want to talk about that.
Sure. We made a traditional saison. It's a style of beer I like. I like funky, weird saisons. I like all saisons, but we kept this one super straightforward. It was 3 malts. It was Pilsner malt, a little bit of Munich, and a little bit of wheat. And we use all Tettnang hops. And I hand bottled that for comp 2, except for that one I bottle conditioned, so we added priming sugar to the beer to try to get it up really carbonated. So most beer is around 2.5 volumes of CO2. A volume being how much CO2 would fit in the package, right? And most draft systems are only designed to pour beer at 2.5 volumes, so we tend to
2.7.
Yeah, we tend to package our beer around that. But for saison is one of the styles that should be really carbonated, so I shot for 3.3 volumes CO2.
On a larger scale, we release a lavender saison each year, and we usually target like 4 volumes, but we also have the bottles and the cork and cage for that as well.
And then we'll get to the gold in a second, but Lindsay's the expert on wood beers. So one that also didn't win, but it's still a wonderful beer. You want to talk about Creek?
That one too, 2018, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It did win before, yeah.
Yeah, so we had our Transatlantic Creek this year. We took a little break from it for a couple of years, but it won 2018 gold for Creek beer, Creek Lambic. And we did enter it this year. It didn't place, but it was a joy to make. So we get totes of already made Creek Lambic shipped over from Oud Beersola in Belgium, and then we blend it with our light base Felix to just make a very drinkable but still tart, thirst-quenching Creek. We have it on draft right now, as well as we entered La Folie, which is kind of, our legacy sour here at New Belgium. It's akin kind of to an Oud Brune, and I believe we entered it in the Flemish red and brown category.
Question for you. How many lambics actually go into, GABF? How many, obviously we know there's millions of IPAs that are being put into competition, but, you don't think of a lambic as something that is going to be too heavily competitive, but maybe it is.
That's true. I cannot remember the numbers for
I'll look it up.
entrants in the styles, but lambic specifically probably less than just American wild ales. So they do have categories that kind of separate. People are trying to reenact actual Belgian styles to a T, and then people who are just making great American sour and wild beer.
Atria on YouTube says this winter you guys need to what do you say? Mull your creek.
Oh. I've
That-
heard, we talked about
does
that
sound
came
fun.
up at some point in time, and someone tried it. I think was it Adrian may have done it.
Probably.
We made the Glue Creek,
Yeah, that was awesome.
and I think someone.
Should we have a hot beer episode?
Yeah, instead of a
There aren't
slushy
that
machine,
many.
we just have like a little hot toddy machine.
the hot poker. Do the hot poker thing.
Yes.
And then another beer we did that won this year was from New Belgium, San Francisco, which is 4 Barrel Brew Pub. Pretty sweet place, but they made a beer called Cloudy Juice, spelled Joose. And Jessica Juice is the brewer there, along with Ramon, and it won gold for hazy pale ale, hazy or juicy pale ale.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I got to sample it that day you guys were putting together the entries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
and
we-
there's 118 entries on that one.
That's a pretty decent sized category.
Is that going to be a staple over there? And
She brewing it today.
nice.
That's so cool. Yeah, the hoppy categories are definitely super competitive, right? Traditionally, it's one of the IPA categories is the biggest. This year, they broke out American IPA and West Coast IPA, which I need to go read the descriptions because to me that's the same thing. But apparently,
Yeah, what would the judges be calling the difference?
I don't know. I honestly need to go back and look because I didn't even realize they'd broke it out. They introduced hazy a few years ago, I think 2018 or 2019, all the hazy categories, and then the first year they did hazy IPA, that was the biggest category, and then last year I think West Coast IPA or whatever, the American overtook hazy again because West Coast IPAs are having a little bit of a comeback.
We actually entered Voodoo Ranger IPA into Australian IPA.
Oh yeah, I forget that's a category too. So there's a lot of hoppy categories.
Yeah.
I got a question. I just thought of this just because you brought up Australia. Are there equivalents of GABF in? I mean, obviously there are. I know a few of them. But Australia, do they have a GABF? Do they? I mean, obviously it's not.
They have
American.
huge comps. I'd say, and so I was just there last month for World Cup, and I know that they're a lot of, and same with South America and Argentina and stuff, but they'll have their huge comps during all of our winter, and then right now they're traveling around the world doing GABF, World Beer Cup, all that, but they do have huge ones. I just have no idea what they're called. But there are a few breweries in there I walked in, and they have walls of medals that aren't GABF ones or world beer. In addition, I guess. So
What if they just like bought themselves a bunch of medals and
that's
I don't
what
know
I'm
why.
doing when I open a brewery. That's what I'm gonna do.
I have no idea what this beer is, so we're gonna find out.
Oh yes,
Oh,
mystery beer.
speaking of no idea what beers are, comp beers.
Comp beers.
Yeah. So we already kind of brought up a comp beer, the Baltic, right? Is that the one that you were?
Oh yeah, from the yeah.
Yeah. So, do we create beer specifically for GABF each year?
But that's a good
We
question.
did.
Well, I was just curious, like, so reinventing the wheel and being creative, as opposed to like something that's already crushing it. Like, obviously, I think we put both of those in. But how often do we create something just for GABF?
I mean, this year we did 3.
I know what this is.
Well, 3 here, and then what is it? Juice Fruit Force?
It's something.
Tropic Force.
Let me spell it.
Is that? Can we say that? We said it.
It's already been. I mean,
Okay.
distributors know about it. So
Whatever.
It's Tropic Force.
Label has
I'll
the
get fired.
TTB.
It's fine.
If you
It's so
really wanna
good.
know
Yeah, I'll take one.
the rules around it is it's hit the TTB, so all the regular magazines and
My Beer
podcasts and
Buzz.
stuff have already talked about it. Labels out there. So yeah.
Yes, this year we did 3 here for GABF specifically, and then I think Ramon and Jess did 2 or 3. Asheville doesn't have a pilot, so I don't know. Oh, also let's not forget our close friends at Bell's won a bronze for Bell's Oktoberfest.
Yep.
Yes.
That was in the amber lager category.
Yeah.
It was funny. I saw beers called Oktoberfest win medals in at least 3 different categories. Amber lager. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my boss's boss is calling me. I'm gonna ignore that one. Sorry, Chris. I know you're not watching, but I'm still gonna say
If
sorry.
you need to go.
No.
Run.
I'll beg for forgiveness later. This is important.
And then
It's
come
important.
back if you have time.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just gonna ignore him. It's fine.
Oh.
Where were we? Bell's Oktoberfest. Amber, you got a bronze for amber lager, and then the Märzen category
Yeah, you're right.
is like the actual. Well, that's a whole separate topic. Märzen is like what Americans call Oktoberfest beer. Is an amberish colored lager that's usually a little bit stronger, and then there's the Vienna lager category. In my opinion, it's like I don't know why amber lager and Vienna are different. That's another one I'd have to look up what GABF thinks is different. But
American Amber versus Vienna Lager.
that could be. It could be hoppy.
It's hoppy. Yeah.
I'll bet that's
Is
it.
anything
Yeah.
American hoppier?
Pretty much, if you
General
throw
area?
the word American on it, it's going to be hoppier. Yeah.
In general.
Americans just can't be subtle with beer.
Speaking of which, not being subtle.
We do have a question on Twitch. Has anything gone from a GABF prototype to a commercial run?
Not that I really know of.
Not GABF prototype.
A topic I wanted to bring up, like related to that, is a lot of breweries will brew a small scale, a pilot of one of their main brands just to send to GABF because they might have more control and can do certain things on their pilot that they can't do on
Instead of
their
mass
large
producing.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they tweak it
And
slightly.
The margins on like anything we would make really in here would break, and how we did it would break production and make Andy's job suck.
I've heard many stories.
Yeah, some beers just don't scale well, and so it's usually or you use like weird yeast, or you use like
You
Like
want
the
a
yeast I use for my
specialty
Saison
grain
w-
you can't afford on a large scale.
yeah, you throw a dumb amount of some ingredient at it, or
So Rob's Baltic Porter, Cody's Pilsner, Andy and Kelly's Saison, Jess Cloudy Juice, Jess's beer. We could never. That was Helio Glazer from Omega East. They would never let us introduce those into production.
Yep.
So it's like,
Is that a thiolized yeast?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and mine was a blend of 4 Saison strains.
Talk about
One
that.
batch. It's kind of funny. So, I've been brewing saisons forever, and there's a back in like 12 plus years ago, there was only a couple yeast labs, like White Labs and Y Yeast, which are still the big ones. But there's this place called East Coast Yeast, and they were one of the first like boutique, smaller yeast producers out there. And I was kind of following them closely. Hi, Patrick. And I was brewing. I noticed that they had this. They called it Brasserie Saison Blend, but it was a blend of 4 strains. So I'd got that a long time ago. And then I got it a few times, but it's a huge pain in the ass to get because I'd have to like one-off order it from this East Coast homebrew shop and have it like shipped. And so it was like $20+ every single time just for the yeast because it had to be like cold shipped and all this crap. So I didn't use it very often. Well, one of the guys in the Homebrew Club, who's also an amazing brewer, he won Homebrewer of the Year once upon a time, and we've done Pro-Am with him. His name is Ramy. He works at CSU in a lab that has access to -80°C freezers. And so he cryogenically stores yeast, weird stuff that you can't get easily.
Some of our stuff.
Yeah, there's some of our stuff is stored at CSU. And so every once in a while, I'll just reach out to him and get yeast. So we use that yeast. So we got it from Remy at CSU, but it's from East Coast Yeast. And then we propagated it here. So he just takes a little tiny bit, grows it on a slant, which is like a test tube. And then our lab took the slant and then grew it all up so we had enough to brew.
Speaking of, I have a yeast question for you after the show that I'm not sure we can talk about on the show.
Vague.
Anyways, who all went to GABF this year?
We all went.
We all did.
All of us.
All of you?
Yeah.
Sweet. Could you call out a few of your favorites?
Beers?
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
We only went to the awards ceremony. You?
My favorite places we went, I got to try Westbound and Down for the first time, and they make really great IPAs. So
They won
I think they won
3?
something pretty big.
They won. Yeah.
I don't think they won, if I remember right, they won 3 medals, and they think they won West Coast IPA. I think they won the biggest
I could see
IPA
that,
category.
Yeah.
And they make incredibly good West Coast IPAs, like you said. They
I
also make
think
really
the
good
one that
barley
won is just called West Coast IPA.
It might be. It might.
I forget. I
They,
don't
their stuff's great. If you ever want to try like a really good, like new school but inspired by classic,
Ooh,
IPA is complicated.
I've got a good one for Andy Mitchell. So Wibby Brewing is a brewery here in Longmont, and they won Brewery of the Year, but they only won 1 medal, which was a
Yep.
gold. So then everyone was like, "How do you win Brewery of the Year if you only win
would love
1
to know
medal?" But
Yeah, I found out about how this all works. So it's not like overall brewery of the year. It's by scale. So there's like very small brewery of the year, which is like 0 to 500 barrels or something. I don't know how you can win a brewery with 0 barrels, but whatever.
Let's ask Ross.
Right. Oh, Ross. And then so there's like it scales. So like and then there's also brewery group. So we enter as a brewery group where all of our beers from all of our locations go in.
So New Belgium as a whole, so it's like Bell's, New Belgium, Magnolia.
We keep Bell's separate.
Bell's separate.
Okay.
Still, but it was all the New Belgium locations. So it was Asheville, Fort Collins, and San Francisco. In the
That's it.
past, the Source from Denver has entered.
So that's
things
just
like
a
that.
different grouping?
Yes. So if you're a brewery group, and then there's also like brew pub, and then there's all the different sizes of brewery. And the rules are if you're a brewery, you have to submit at least 2 beers to be considered for Brewery of the Year. If you're brewing group, you have to submit at least 6, which I thought was surprising. I just learned that recently. But a gold is worth 6 points, a silver is worth 5, and a bronze is worth 4. But you add all those together, and then you divide it by your total number of entries. So Wibby must not have entered very many. They have to enter at least 2.
Well, we know they had at least 6 points.
So they had, yeah, well, and they...
Well, 3.
Does
or
that
3.
mean anybody else in their category would have had to have less? Like there was only one person of their size who got a silver?
Yeah, well, so if someone else won a gold as well as them, they would have had to have entered more beers to not have as many points.
So basically, they're like making it so like if you throw a whole bunch of beers at the wall, you're not going to do as good.
Yeah,
Is what I'm.
for better or for worse.
Okay.
It is expensive to enter, so I don't think it's a bad thing that it's weighted based on the number of entries. But it is, I did not know that until this year even, until last week, because people were wondering why. And Westbound and Down won 3 medals, but they didn't win Brewery of the Year for their
They must have
category.
put a lot of beers into competition.
That, and they actually, they have 2 locations, and they didn't enter as a brewery group. They entered as 2 separate locations.
I think you get 5 a location, right?
Yeah, Typically, you get 5. It varies a little bit. Some years they allow you to do a little bit more. Some years they allow you to do less.
Did Fatheads win Brewery of the Year? Because they won just a stupid amount of medals. I feel like.
They may have. I'd have to go back and look. I can't remember all the Brewery of the Years, and I can't remember how many. There used to only be 3, and I think there's 4 or 5 now.
I'm going to say, how many breweries of the year are there?
Yeah, because it's like 0 to 250, and then like 250 to 3,000 barrels or whatever, and like 3,000 to 20,000. Or there's different slices. So it's not like New Belgium wouldn't be competing against like Equinox.
You're not going against like City Star.
No, I think, and I don't know.
I think there's like nano, small, mid-range brewery group, like you said, and then probably a large.
Yeah, like I think large that one was Allagash, and they won.
yeah.
They won 2 medals, and they won a gold for their triple. I heard triple, and I about jumped out of my chair. And then I said,
And then silver for
white.
Yeah.
Very, very good Belgians.
Atria says, I have made 0 barrels of beer this year, so you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly. You're off.
The other is, it's a PvP level bracketing system. Kinda.
S plus.
Again. And Smitty is asking, a Voodoo tea? Dude, Smitty, yes, and you will be getting one in a couple weeks.
The Voodoo
Just
tea.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Hint, hint. With lemony goodness.
People like it.
I have 2 other questions. We only have about 15 minutes or so. I have 2 other questions, which I know a few answers to one of them. What has been your best GABF experience?
Well, I don't have as many experiences as these guys.
Well, even if it's just having a beer that was like kind of to a point of like changing your thought on something, or even just meeting a group that you never thought you would, things like that.
Yeah, my first time was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I think just trying everything in Denver was really inspiring. Going to places I go now all the time for the first time, going to True and Bierstadt, everything. But I think, yeah, just the difference in the climate before COVID, and there were just tons of people at the festival, and beer festivals in general now are just kind of slowed down. So,
Does it seem like GABF is coming back, or is it still pretty COVID?
What do you guys think?
It's pretty. I don't know. I didn't go in there, but I heard it was pretty slim.
It was very sparse in a sad way. But I went the very last session of the last night, so a lot of things were sold out, and I don't know if people removed booths at that point. But if they don't remove booths, there were huge sections where in the past there would have been at least like an extra 100 slots.
Interesting. So maybe with COVID, it's becoming much more of the competition instead of the actual showing and fanfare of the weekend days and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the state of the industry as a whole too is a little kind of, craft. We're doing very well, but the industry is kind of in a rough spot at the moment. So I think that's part of it. It's really expensive to enter.
Yeah,
I can't remember how much each beer. Even the comp side is really expensive, and booths are expensive.
Like there's some amazing breweries that don't enter because they can't afford it.
Or it's
like
not a priority. Or it's not a priority. Like,
Do you guys know how much it is to enter one beer?
I think per it's what 180 something
per entry,
somewhere around there.
Say that again.
Like $180 per entry.
I feel like it's $180.
Okay.
Maybe 160 per entry, and then I wish Soren was here to answer all this.
Wow.
But that's just to even enter it. Then you gotta some people have to drive out to get it shipped here because it's cheaper than.
Yeah, they don't pay for your beer, so you're giving all your beer. You have to get your beer here somehow.
And
your
booth,
hotel.
I assume a booth is like 50 to 100K.
I don't know how much the booths cost.
A booth has got to be expensive.
It's got to be thousands. I know.
Yeah. I think the small corner ones back in the day were like 10 grand to have like the your branded tent or whatever be up.
Yeah, it gets really expensive really quick, and for a lot of people, like if there's no ROI, like if you're doing it for exposure, right? That's literally why you're doing it.
The ROI you're going to get is if you get a medal and people come to your location.
I mean, compared to CBC, which is World Beer Cup, which we need to start working on, by the way. at least that's like a conference where you can learn things. GABF's just like a party.
Is there no like talks or panels or anything like that at GABF?
Maybe sometimes
to be,
there's
though,
private meetups.
Yeah,
I swear there used to
there's a lot of events that like circle around GABF in the area, but nothing official that I know of. Or if there is, it's not a talking point. It's mostly like who has the best pretzel necklace.
Before we
hate
get
that.
to the next story, Kelly, I assume you're next. People are asking about the tea a lot because they see it and don't know what it is. So
That's a Dave Glore special.
Well played
everyone
there.
says they need to know more. So
Tastes exactly like
this
Twisted tea.
is Voodoo Ranger Hard Charge Tea. It's much better in the light. No, it's not. And it is currently, it's awesome. It is 7%. It's currently in 5 regions right now. So if you don't know what it is and you haven't seen it, that's the reason why. It's only in 5 regions. We're testing it. It's doing very well. So the plan is, I believe, January. In January.
Ish.
December, January?
January and on? Oh, wait.
January and on. The plan is for Hard Charge Tea to make a bigger splash nationally. So you will start to see it. It is in these large cans right now, and you'll most likely see it at C-store, convenience stores. Brewery lingo, C-store.
I saw it at the grocery store.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely around
Super.
here. We're one of the regions. Now, when it does come out nationally, you'll also see a few changes, both in its size and its offering. If that makes sense. So be on the lookout. I will definitely, all our creators that are on here, you will definitely be getting some as we start to go national and start to promote it. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's awesome. Personally, it's massive. I cut it with water a little bit.
I like it over ice.
Yeah, people put it.
Over
Put
ice
it
is
on
good.
ice. Yeah, it's like sweet tea basically.
It's pretty sweet.
It's
Yeah.
basically, yeah,
It's good
lemon
though.
sweet tea. So yeah, there's your info. But it will be coming out, and I think it's gonna be a smash.
Yeah, that was made by Dave Glore, who has been on the show before.
Flavor Dave.
Has been
Flavor
on the
Dave.
show and promptly not allowed back on the show for a while.
Yeah,
Dave's welcome back at any time, though.
we should maybe we'll see.
Well, I just have to have a beep button
For all the
and
expletives.
a whole censored thing that just blocks out the secrets he says.
He did a good job. It was very stressful for him, so I'm glad people like it.
Flavor Dave.
Let's see. Oh, B Horse says Happy National Drink Beer Day.
I feel like that's a holiday every day, but I'm down for it.
Yeah, it's not in March.
So last things, yeah, your last stories. Let's
My last story. Oh my gosh.
GABF story. I got some if you need to.
You do your
Pump yourself
GABF
up.
story, then I'll do mine.
I got a couple like short ones.
perfect.
My first time at GABF, I had a broken leg, and I was in a wheelchair. That was the only day I've ever been in a wheelchair, but we decided it was better than crutching around GABF. I forgot our tickets at home and didn't realize it until we were in North Denver. And then we're worried that we couldn't will call, so we drove all the way back. And then my lovely wife pushed me around in a wheelchair. And a bunch of homebrew friends. This is before I even was brewing. I just started homebrewing. No, I was brewing. I was at Funkworks. They pushed me around in a wheelchair, and when we went to go get Sam Adams' Utopias, which was the first time I ever got to try it, they formed like a protective triangle of friends in front of me so people wouldn't run into my leg as people crowded the booth trying to try that beer. That was a pretty good one. Other than that, a couple years ago when I was there with Soren, we got a pedicab back to the Source Hotel, but it was like an electric one. And homeboy was hauling ass down Colfax at like 40 miles an hour in a pedicab. And there's pictures of my beard like blowing in the wind over my shoulder. So that was pretty fun. And just working it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just run into a bunch of crazy industry friends, and it's kind of fun being there.
I think my favorite memory is just, well, actually, the first time I went to GABF is the first time I ever drank the Wind Coop Rocky Mountain Oyster Stout,
Oh,
which is good.
It got sold in a 2-pack.
I had it on
two-pack?
draft. I don't know.
2-pack of cans.
And then, but then another really good memory was before this person got into beer, wanted to get into beer, and so I gave him my other pass. I was coming out from Boston and him from Seattle, but it was Andy Gundel who then later bought and rebranded everything for Urban Family Brewing in Seattle. But he was just like blown away, and he was going out to do like kind of research-ish. But the best part of that was, one, Andy like got inspired and ended up getting that brewery, but who just buys a brewery? I don't know. Good job, Andy. But they gave us the wrong car, so we had a neon blue Mustang, and before drinking, we were like blasting around the town in this ridiculous car, and every few weeks he still just sends me pictures of us in this thing. But it was really good. I don't know. I think friends and brewing.
Meeting up with people.
Yeah.
Like, I worked in New Mexico for so long that, you know, if you brew out of state and you move, you get to see your friends once a year, and it's just
There's like a main meetup place too, right? What bar is it?
Yeah. The industry side of it's always my favorite part about any festival. And one of the things I miss that we used to do pre-COVID, blah, 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 was we'd like have charter buses of people coming up from Denver.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We would do, like, everyone at the brewery would kind of just stop working for a week, and we'd just show everyone around, and there was nonstop tours, like industry
Huge
tours.
parties.
Like, every 30 minutes, the whole employee parking lot was shut down, and there's free beer for industry people.
The place would be packed for like a good chunk, and then all of a sudden be empty, and then it'd be packed again, and then empty.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
so much
good.
fun.
Did
I
you
really,
guys,
really liked that.
end up at the beer party this year, the Brewers one that was downstairs, and they were serving tiki drinks?
Oh, no.
I left,
Yeah.
right?
I
We
got
left.
literally the last tiki drink they made before they ran out of everything. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, it's a good time. I know the same year we did the weird pedicab thing, we walked from the source over to Bierstadt, which is like fantastic, and all the brewers are always there. All the brewers used to always be at Falling Rock, but Falling Rock doesn't exist anymore. R.I.P. But we went to Bierstadt, and they had semi-professional wrestling and like liters of beer, and it was a party. It was ridiculous.
That isn't like the Pink Boots event, right? Because y'all do that for CBC, like the arm wrestling.
Oh,
but-
this
No,
was like,
this is like
this was like wrestling,
lucha-
Oh,
like
yeah.
like luchador, yeah, like luchador wrestling, and like liters of beer and just a bunch of brewers, and it was such like a weird, like trippy, like what am I even doing right now? All these things don't go together, but here we are.
Do breweries host events anymore, or does it tend to be accounts that host events?
I think it's more accounts than breweries, but
yeah, I do miss Falling Rock though. I mean, that was
There were
just
a lot of breweries that
institution.
had like their specialty tapping. Comrade had their More Dodge Less Ram. True did things like throughout the entire week. They did have a really awesome event for just like badass female head brewers called Iron Maidens, and then they had a Lagerfest the next day.
That's a badass award.
Yeah.
I like that. So, last question from me. Stop by me on chat. If you guys have any other questions, throw them at us. But last one from me is future of GABF. You saw it a little sparse this year. Coming back from COVID, the industry is having a little bit of a hard time. Do you see next few years kind of just being the same as this year, or do you see anything kind of changing?
man, it's hard to say.
I don't know. I feel next year will be similar to now, and I feel like it's gonna go on an upswing because everyone's still recovering from COVID too, business wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have all the money to send people. Craft beer is down, but
Some of it I feel like might be generational. Like we're all, pretty much millennials, and the younger generation in their early 20s and stuff, they just aren't as drawn to craft beer yet, and maybe we need to come up with new events or things at GABF to keep people
didn't
excited.
Brewbound or Good Beer Hunting just have a article on the new generation, like a generation's phased out and a new one's coming in?
I've seen
can't remember.
something because recently I saw statistics of craft beer versus RTD drinkers for that generation. It's definitely
That would actually be a really good show topic. Is generationally brewing? How's it? changing?
Great
What's
Hard
the
Tea
future
Beer
of it?
Festival.
I was gonna say, yeah, we haven't said what GABF actually means.
No, we haven't.
It is Great American Beer Festival, but maybe it
for all
becomes
you
Great
watching,
American Beverage
SMU.
Festival.
right.
Yeah, there's there's all the hard seltzer competitions going on.
Yeah, U.S. Open.
I
was
just had
a-
a friend. She was like, "We just won 2 medals at the hard seltzer competition. I don't know whether to be happy or really sad." And I was just like,
well, it's like Timnath's hard seltzer is called Brewer's Tears.
Oh. Oh.
It's true though.
Atria, I can't answer that question. I'll tell you guys that question later.
Okay.
I can't vocally give that answer. Yeah, so if you guys have any other questions in chat, let us know. Again, now that we're at the end, the GABF is Great American Beer Fest. Welcome to the show.
Great
A
American
whole
Beverage Fest.
show that we never said what it meant.
It's tough when you're in your own vacuum. Like
You use all
know
the
what
jargons.
words and then all that stuff are.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about with gaming. It's fun. Fun to guess.
I don't talk about games.
We talked about C-stores and pods and CEs.
Oh, yeah. Should we just have a whole lingo show? Lingo of beer?
Sure.
It's much like any other office space.
You can only talk in acronyms the entire time.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
What?
Just post a picture.
Only,
of the
it's like
brew board
minimum
and
one
the
acronym
cellar.
per sentence.
No.
I'm gonna go heat up the HLT.
For those of you in chat, we will be playing games next week. Maybe I can get Andy to DJ for us again.
Did you?
I DJ'd for him playing Armored Core. It was fun. I'll DJ again next week.
Cool.
Best video game experience I've ever had in my life.
Does the world know that Andy DJ'd our wood cellar last week during our company
I
retreat?
kept that off of social media.
Oh, I saw
And
videos
volleyball.
of it. I was so jealous.
I kept it off of social media. No.
You're a superstar.
I just have a new hobby and it's a lot of fun.
It's awesome.
I recorded another mix last night.
Sweet. Put it on our Discord.
I haven't put it up on the internets yet, but
Otherwise, if you guys have any topics you'd like to hear, so not next week, we'll be playing games, but the week after that, we're looking for topics. So let us know.
I know Chris Teef mentioned fresh hops.
Yes, actually, that would be good because Maddie will be back, and it will be
Will Cody-
coming off of hop selection.
Will Cody be back from his radical sabbatical?
Cody
Yes.
gets back like the
14th or 15th?
Yeah.
It's in the first part of October.
Neat.
Yeah, I think that'll be
If
our
you
topic for-
if you live in the Fort Collins area
Shit.
and you're watching this and you hear that hissing,
I gotta do push-ups.
that's our
I gotta do 20 push-ups.
wait.
Push-ups.
Oh, push-ups. That's spiced rum apple triple that I made yesterday for our tap room for funsies.
I'm excited to try it.
Me too.
I want to try your Mai Tai beer again or whatever.
I'm making that in 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
Hell yeah.
3 weeks.
That's tasty.
Is he doing push-up over there?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
How
a
many?
20.
Oh, that's nothing. Someone
Patrick's good for
challenge
it.
him to do more. I thought he could do 100.
You definitely can. I've seen it.
Is that Mindy?
Thanks, Atria. Atria says, I heard Patrick say shit when I redeemed it. Cool. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you. Thanks for the raid
Yeah.
tracks. I don't know if we said. I think we
Thank you
said
guys
we,
for tuning
good.
in.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I
If
appreciate
any
you
raiders
guys
are hanging
out.
out, thank you. We appreciate you. I mean, we appreciate everyone. I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself.
You
Maybe-
are just speaking for yourself.
But until next time, thank you, everyone. And we will see you all later.
Bye.